Hi guys, it's Jay. I promised that I would come to you guys with a video about PCOS. I'm going to do that today. It's gotten a lot darker since I first sat down at the computer, so I'm hoping this won't take long. But I did want to talk to you guys about PCOS because I mentioned it in my last Weight Loss Wednesday video. And I just want to kind of just tell you guys a little bit about it. So, um, this video is gonna be PCOS like before weight loss surgery. So I found out I had PCOS at my first ever OBGYN appointment. I think I was 16 and my mom took me to the OBGYN. Her name was Kim. She was so sweet. She like gave me her email and her phone number because I was young and I had never had sex before. I was very young. I was just inexperienced, and she was just giving me a lot of information. She was like, if you need anything, just let me know. You can always email me. She was a really sweet doctor. But maybe 2 weeks after my appointment, I had my first pap smear. I got the results back. The results came back that my hormones were kind of imbalanced. So she put me on birth control to get my hormones to kind of balance out. I went back to her about 6 months later, and my hormones were still out of whack. So she thought I had some kind of endocrine problem. So she sent me to a specialist, and the specialist she sent me to was Dr. Karen Berkowitz at Drexel here in Philadelphia. Dr. Berkowitz is amazing. That's the only way to really explain like her. She's awesome. She's like one of the sweetest people I've ever known. You guys know that I used to go to grad school at Drexel between 2008 and 2010, and I used to see her all the time because we were in the same building as the doctor's office that she worked at. So she was an endocrine specialist, and she told me that I had PCOS, and she explained everything to me. She was very knowledgeable. She definitely gave me a lot of tools and advice. I was really scared because a lot of what she said didn't really apply to my life right now, but it would apply in the future, if that makes sense. So one of the major issues with PCOS is infertility. As a 16-year-old, I could care less, you know what I mean? And actually, no, let me back up. I wouldn't say that I couldn't care less, but I wasn't thinking about getting pregnant in that moment. So when she said infertility, it kind of took like a couple of weeks to really hit me. Like, do I want to have children? Is this something that's going to affect me? Is this something that I'm going to have to get treated? Can I ever really get rid of it? And it was just something that I didn't know how to feel about because I wasn't interested in having children right then and there. But at the same time, I didn't know if I was interested in having children later. Like I wanted to have kids, but I couldn't say for, I couldn't say for 100% certainty that I wouldn't be able to have children. There are some women, very few, but some women who do have PCOS and can get pregnant without having any kind of, IVF or any kind of injections or anything like that. So it does happen. It's very rare, but it does happen. So yeah, I was kind of confused about it. But when I started doing more research, so she's telling me what to do, and I'm getting I got ultrasounds, and it was a ultrasound where they like actually use the probe and not like an ultrasound where they just use the thing on your stomach. I got an ultrasound. We confirmed that there were cysts on my ovaries, and she took a biopsy of my cervix. And I think I was 17 when I first got the biopsy of my cervix, and for the next 3 or 4 years, I think until I was 23, I had a biopsy of my cervix every time I had a pap smear with Dr. Berkowitz. So basically with the biopsy, they would take like a little like cannula. It's kind of like a really, really, really narrow straw, basically, and just like take a section of your cervix out, and it's very painful. Actually, no, it's not very painful, but it's extremely uncomfortable. You cramp and you bleed for a few days afterwards. But basically, I just started doing my own research. Like, I'm a researcher at heart. I'm a science nerd. Like, I am all about researching, getting the facts, and figuring out, how to make the facts work for you. So I started doing research. With PCOS, I just happened to be one of those women who experienced every side effect. So I got the weight gain, and I think a lot of it is kind of like psychological connections because PCOS, one of the major things that comes with PCOS is depression and issues with just being sad in general because your hormones are very imbalanced. So with the depression, I'm an emotional eater. So with the depression, I got depressed. I was already depressed, as a high schooler, but I got depressed, and then I started to eat, and then I started to gain weight. You know what I mean? So it was just like that is natural. You know what I'm saying? One of the first times I met Dr. Berkowitz, she looked at my skin, and the skin right here on the inside of your arm, right here, and the skin around your neck, my skin was very, very dark. I had dark circles around my eyes. I kind of looked like a raccoon, and then I had dark circles here, hyperpigmentation here, and my neck was just black. It was really dark compared to my face, and then the inside of my arm was very dark compared to the rest of my arm. And she said, I think you have PCOS. Like, you get hyperpigmentation, you get weight gain, sometimes you get weight loss. Most of the time it's weight gain. You get hair gain, like hair growth. I have hair growth here. I never really had like a mustache or anything, but I have a lot of hair growth along my jawline and a little bit on my chest. You get hair loss. My hair used to fall out. But again, that could also be a psychological connection where you get depression and you're really sad, and then you're stressing yourself out, and then you're emotional eating, so you're getting fatter and you're stressing yourself out even more about that. So now my hair is falling out. It's also, the hair falling out is also in connection with your hormones being imbalanced. Your B12 is off. Your estrogen is off. Your testosterone is up. So that's why you get the hair gain, because your testosterone is increased and your estrogen is decreased. So you also don't get a period because your estrogen is decreased. So what would happen to me is that my period would literally come on once every 2 years, and it would last for like 4 days, but it was the worst pain I've ever had. It was the worst pain I've ever had. It was 4 days of really heavy bleeding and terrible pain. I had no signs of when it was coming on. I just wouldn't have a period for two to 2.5 years at a time, and then I would get a 4-day period that would just like smack the life out of me, and it was terrible. So one of the things that Dr. Berkowitz put me on was called metformin. Around the same time, when I was 17 years old, my birthday is Christmas Eve, so I started school early. When I was 17 years old, I was a freshman in college. So I was put on metformin, which is a drug to increase ovulation. So women who women basically use it to get pregnant. You increase ovulation, you have more eggs that are going to be available for the sperm. So women use it to get pregnant. Or you can also use it to treat diabetes. So it's a diabetes treatment, and it's a treatment for getting pregnant. It's also a treatment for PCOS, obviously, because it increases your estrogen. And hopefully by increasing your estrogen, your testosterone decreases. So with that said, every time I would go to the doctor in college, you have the school nurse, you have the gynecologist down the street when I wasn't home, and God forbid I was sick and I'm at the doctor and they ask you what kind of medications you're on, and I'm telling them, and the first question out of the nurse's mouth is, do you want to get pregnant? And I'm like, no. Do you have diabetes? Is always the second question. I'm like, no. And then I have to explain the PCOS, and I have to explain why I'm taking metformin. And metformin was by far the worst drug I've ever taken in my life. It just made you extremely nauseous. It got stuck in your throat, and then you could feel it in your stomach, and I felt nauseous all day long, and I had to take it twice a day. And it sucked. I didn't take it regularly. I was supposed to take it every day forever, and I probably took it maybe 5-6 times a week because it was just so disgusting. And I was in school. I couldn't be in class throwing up. It was just gross. So when I would come home and talk to Dr. Berkowitz, she would be like, what's going on with the metformin? Then she would try to up my dose, and then finally she just took me off of it because I wasn't taking it regularly because it was just too much. So after that, I had never tried birth control. Birth control, during the time I was seeing Kim, when I was sick, between the age of 16 and 17, I tried at least 3 different birth control pills, and it never worked. And I was done with birth control. I wasn't, I was using protection when I was in college. I wasn't trying to have a baby. I was very like smart about things. I didn't, put myself at risk for ever even having a pregnancy scare. I was on top of those condoms, let me tell you, because I ain't got no time. Now when I'm 21 trying to drink, anywho. I had so much fun in college, but let me tell you, I was not trying to get pregnant. I saw a lot of those girls come in freshman year, get pregnant, have to leave. Jaquita's trying to get a degree. Okay? So, anyway, that's beside the point. I was careful. But, sorry, I got off on a tangent. But, yeah, so PCOS was like, it was very, I can honestly say that I was really depressed because I was really depressed in high school because as a teenager, you don't know how to really take that information. You may never be able to have children again. You may never be able to have children because you don't ovulate because your testosterone is really high and your estrogen is really low, and there's really no cure for it. So when I got out of college, still had PCOS. I had gotten up to 365 pounds was my highest weight. 365 pounds. So when I first went to college, I was 270. After freshman year, I was 305. And then sophomore year, I got back down to 270 because I just went hard at the gym because I couldn't believe that I had ballooned up to over 300 pounds. And then somewhere after graduating and before grad school, like that summer, I wasn't working. I was at home. I was really depressed. I was really bored. And I ate a lot, honestly. I was depressed. Emotional eating was the way. And, I had gotten a job right out of college and then I lost the job because I was going to grad school and they were just like, you can't do both. So I just I was upset and I was depressed about it. And I was like, I'm in grad school, but I don't have any money. I have to live at home with my mom. And, it was just terrible. So I ate, and I ate. And I ate a whole bunch of chicken fingers with cheese fries and a whole bunch of Pepsi and a whole bunch of chips and a whole bunch of cheese pretzels. And, I was just eating like shit, basically. And I gained like 65 pounds in less than 6 months. So I weighed 365 pounds at my highest weight. I think my first semester in grad school, I started thinking about weight loss surgery. So I got on here. My first semester in grad school, I got braces. And I started a YouTube channel called College Class 101. And I did my braces journey. Somewhere in there, probably like a year later, into my braces journey, I started making videos about weight loss surgery. And then 6 months after that, I had gone through all the preliminary things. So I'd gone through the doctor's appointments, the psychological evaluation, the nutritionist, the weight loss surgery support groups. I had done all of that, and 6 months later, I had a date for surgery, and that's when I made this channel. I made this channel when I was waiting for my date for surgery. I'm gonna post that video because it was so long ago. That was almost 8 years ago when I first made my first video on this channel. So I'm going to post that video in the description box below, and I'll probably put a card up in here somewhere. But yeah, that was when I decided to like change my life because I started doing a lot of research and I realized that when women lose weight, then their hormones kind of, balance out a little bit. And the symptoms of PCOS, although PCOS never goes away, the symptoms of PCOS really do decrease a lot and you can have children at that point. So I started researching gastric bypass surgery and I had surgery on March the 30th, 2010, and it was the best decision I've ever made. My son was born on December 25th, 2013, and I can't imagine life without him, and I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have the chance to become a mother. So that's my story of PCOS and, just the devastation that it can cause. I know a lot of women go through the PCOS ups and downs without knowing what it is. And it's really difficult to kind of get a handle over because you have so many different symptoms that it's kind of like this can't all be one thing. but it may just be one thing. It may be PCOS. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will come to you guys next week on Monday for my post-op Monday videos with my PCOS and how it's changed after having weight loss surgery. If you guys want to, please check out my weigh-in Wednesday, which was today. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.